Hi guys. This is definitely the last one of the night, and hopefully you guys aren't minding this. I was 15 in this one. It goes from May all the way to September the 1st. So yeah, I was still 15. This is definitely probably my most conflicting because it's my time where, like, I wasn't going to church as much because I was just being an adolescent, really, because I didn't have a place at church for myself at this stage. I didn't have the friends that I do now at this stage. And yeah, I was just really confused, really hurt. But man, the fierce love that I feel when I read these, you'll see. The fierce love and how conflicted I was. Like, it was crazy because we would still, like, swing on swings and climb trees and, like, play in the creek. But the fierceness, the love triangles that, like, I was only in one, really. Or I guess I was in two. But only kind of. It's mind-boggling. And you know what is crazy as well is that we're going to see within just a couple days that desire to have a baby come up for the first time. I mean, it was ages before this, but yeah, really start seeing it and seeing how, yeah, it was. So on Monday, May the 6th, which is my baby brother's birthday, I said, Jamie's being a jerk. Called Daddy and told him to give Rita my best. I really miss Rita and Hassan, even Yusuf and Hussein. Most of all, I miss Suzanne. I miss our talks on the phone, writing letters back and forth. I wish she missed me. Does she miss me? How is she? Is she happy? So many unanswered questions. How did her parents find out? Why can't I see her? I miss her very much. I feel my sister has abandoned me, and I'm very unhappy right now. And that was all because my brother tried to date one of my cousins, and it turned to absolute custard. And I lost my first friendship. It was probably my first real, like, trust, like, complete and utter broken trust and deceptiveness that I've ever had in my life. Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. June 2nd, I wrote, about a little girl who was 2 peas in a pod and I was really trying to do volunteering at one point in time. But anyways, I had picked out, and this is insane, like, children's name in Arabic and French. Like, literally, front and back, these names. Names and what their meaning was. Like, it's just crazy. I picked out Arabic and French names. Have to use one for my kids. Sarah or Sarah. Cordell. Like, name considered to keep Arabic and French in the family. Here are a list of names in there too. Like, it's names. Like, it's crazy how, I was 15 at this time. And I was picking out my baby names. Like, how crazy is that? Absolutely. How crazy is this? This was a card that girl sent me, Suzanne. All these staples. And it says, Dear Chris, it's really great to know I have a very special friend I could count on whenever I need them. I'm glad we got to know each other. I feel more like your sister every day. I'm so glad I could talk to you about anything. I missed you so much. Hope your wishes come true. See you, sweets. Chris, count how many staples there are, and that's how much I love you. Happy 15th birthday. Hope your dreams and wishes come true. Love, Suzanne Harajale. And it's from November 1895. And there was, it looks like 85 staples. I counted them all. 85 staples. And my work came crashing down when she left. In this, I'm hanging out a lot with my friend Michelle, who I'm still friends with today. I've actually just reminisced all of this with her. So, she loved it. But she was off and on again with Gary, and he was someone that I really loved. And you can hear that. She was very troubled. So it says, I spent a lot of time with Michelle and Melissa. Michelle dumped Gary on Saturday, June the 1st. She's been missing from home since Thursday, May 30th. She called me. She's safe, but I probably won't see her. She's got cops after her, and she's going to go to Belleville, where Greg lives. Michelle is now going out with Richard from the complex, and Melissa helped me work on my science project yesterday. Michelle should be calling me anytime. I'm not surprised Michelle's moving away. Everyone does. First Nick, not friends anymore. Then Sarah dies on me, leaving me alone to face the world. Then Randy moves away, and now we're slowly fading away from one another. Then Brian moves to Sault Ste. Marie. And I didn't finish that, but yeah, I was really, really upset. And I wasn't happy. June 13th, I was having a tent party. This tent party was my first boy-girl party. And they were having a sleepover. And I really wanted Gary to come, who's going out with Dawn. Again, I said, and I hope they break up. Because I was obsessed with Gary, and you'll hear that in a minute. My party, the beginning was terribly boring. We went to dance in a complex and listened to the music. Then at about 9:30, we went back to my house. Dawn and Gary fought. She said that he was dumped. Gary, Michelle, Melissa, Christina, Jeff, and I came to my house. We listened to music, ate chips, drank pop, talked, and roasted marshmallows. Gary snuck into his own home and took rum from the fridge, and Christina bought bottles of Wildcat, put inside pop cans so no one would notice. I drank one mouthful. It was disgusting. At about 12:30, I went inside and got my yearbook, and a whole bunch of people wrote in it. They all slept over. Gary went and got wasted badly. He was totally out of it. He slammed his head against everything and went and jumped all over my next door neighbor's car. He dented it at around 6 to 6:30. We had just settled down, and Gary had passed out, and then Michelle passed out on the chair and squeezed under the blankets between Gary. Gary was all over Michelle and Melissa that night, and Gary said I was a 5 out of 10 at the beginning of the night, and then as he was drunk, I was a 9 out of 10. Everybody left. But the next door neighbor came to talk to my mom, and they had seen Gary hopping their fence and said that he had been doing drugs. I had to go down and get the phone number from Gary's parents. The cops had to be called in, and Gary had the choice of either having a criminal record or paying for the damage that was worth $1,000. I haven't spoken to Gary since this morning. I have no idea if he's mad at me or not. I didn't want to get him into any trouble, but I had no choice. I care a lot about Gary. I hated to get him in trouble. I was almost in tears and I could have cried in front of everybody. Why do I always fall in love with someone who's taken or not interested? Which Gary is definitely not interested in me, and I had a rotten night. Daddy called today and is building onto our house. Rita has a cold. Hassan's doing hockey. Yusuf is going to be a runner, and following a Big Brother Hussein is not good enough in it. Not good enough in. I have no idea. Yeah, so I was very much wishing I could be with Gary. I found out today that Gary is mad at me, but Michelle says it will blow over. Today I saw Michelle and Gary walk in. I called to Michelle and Gary and sat on the other side of the road. It broke my heart. I told them about my party. I absolutely, yeah. I can't even explain how I felt about him, but July 4th, Gary's now speaking to me. I told him that he had just asked, Gary asked me out. I told him that he had just asked Michelle out and to ask later. He said that he makes me a deal and told me that if Michelle says no on Sunday, he'll go out with me. He'll tell me he's in love. He's in love with Michelle, but I want to go out with him badly. I think I am falling in love. Finally, I wish he felt the same way. I told him I won't be a fling, so not to even think about it. And it's just so funny because, like, this was when I wasn't a Christian, and this is exactly how I felt. Like, everything was so emotionally strong for me, and I was like so. Oh, I can't even explain it. Like, I was emotionally overwhelmed, and this situation was so bad. Everything. July 12th. Everything Gary said to me was a lie. I found out the other day he said he likes the girl to ask him out, not the other way around. I'm thinking about asking Gary out, but I am not too sure yet. Only time will tell. Like, I just go back and forth with this boy. This weekend, Michelle and I went camping in Oriole Park, and we met some guys. I think Michelle said they're from Ottawa. They seemed really nice. I miss Gary a lot this weekend, and I'm not even going out with him. I'm getting to think there will not be an us anymore, and I'm living with that reality. Gary was in Woodstock, and I saw him across the road a couple minutes ago with everyone, but I didn't go and talk to him. Michelle and I had 40% rum and coke today. This was July 12th. It was awesome. And then Melissa might go out with Jeff. There was a whole lot of triangle here between Michelle, me, and Gary, and then me, Gary, and Melissa, and then me, Clinton, and Gary. But they didn't like me. Clinton might have, but Gary and I were just really, really good friends. Like, we were super close. I might ask Gary out when he's finished with Dawn again. I said, why I would settle for that, I have no idea. But, I was a pretty lost kid at this time, so. Today was an awesome day, August the 10th. Gary, Michelle, Tanya, Jeff, Christina, Dawn, and I went to the Pike Hole. We were catching fish there, and got 2 small fishes in a carp. We put it into a sock, and Gary bashed its body against a tree, which was actually me, not him. Then I stepped all over it and threw rocks on it over and over again. I was a little bit high or drunk at this time, I think. I picked him up and threw him into the water, and everything went fly. We went to Missy's house and played on the swings. Gary, Michelle, and I on his that. Gary carried Michelle and I on his back, which I thought was excellent. Yeah, and his little niece was obsessed with me at one point in time. I don't know if I want to go out with Gary. I mean, I do, but I think he wants to. I don't think he wants to. Dawn says he does. Michelle says the opposite. I don't know what to believe anymore. All I know is that I really like him. And I've written it so hard. I was so. I know Gary won't wait forever, and before long he'll have another girlfriend, so I have to make up my mind whether I'm going to ask him out or not. I'm confused. I know that I'm very much attracted to him. He's good looking, great with children, and a good guy, but he's also not a little goody two-shoe boy. He's into drugs and gets in trouble, but most of all, I know if I asked him right now, he'd say yes. I know if I did get him, Michelle wouldn't take him away from me, but he's very much in love with her, and I am scared to be alone with him. I don't know how far he'll go. I keep remembering Michelle, you ask for an inch and he'll give you a mile. That's what she'd say. I just don't know anymore. It feels weird when I wanted him a lot. I was ready to break up his relationship with Dawn, but now that he's not going out with her anymore and he's free, I don't feel the same anymore. I was so caught up in him before, and now I think I could live without him. I want a boyfriend. I just don't know if he's the smartest choice. My mom would be pissed off. I just don't know anymore. I need some serious advice before it's too late. And he's thinking for good, and he's taken for good, and I don't get another chance. I'm afraid he'd mess around on me. I really care about him. I don't want anything bad to happen to him. Help give me the answers, please. I'm desperate, Chris. Yeah, it's so funny. I saw Michelle and Gary and they came, and Michelle gave me a hug. And Gary did too. Gary always hugs everyone but me. Anyways, we went in my backyard to talk, and Michelle was talking about Nick. And then Gary said something I can't recall. And then Michelle said, don't toy with my friend's emotional, because I'll kick your ass. Then he asked me out, and I didn't say anything. I didn't know if he was serious or not, and I still don't. Michelle keeps on asking him if he's serious. Then he changes the subject, and I have to come inside because he made a lot of noise. If Gary's is serious to ask me out, I'll say yes. I don't think I can ask him out myself. He's in love with Michelle. I don't know if I'll ever get over that. Oh yeah, he was going out with Dawn too today, but she dumped him for someone else. Confused Crystal. Michelle and I had a really unique, and still do have a really unique relationship, because there was something about, I just knew that if I ever did have Gary, she wouldn't try to get him, but like she said, I was the only one that she would not try to steal a boyfriend away from. There was just respect there because I gave her the truth as it was. I didn't sugarcoat how she was. And I just loved her for her. I rarely ever said anything bad about her. It's just crazy. It's, I wish boys were easy to get to. I mean, I'm 4 months away from being sweet 16, and I've never been kissed, never had a boyfriend, never had a first date, never been in love, and I want all those things more. I just wanted everything. I wanted so much to be loved. Yeah. All I want is to settle down with someone who cares and respects me for who I am and not what I look like. Gary would only hurt me. That's what I am scared about. I don't want all or most of my first sets to be shared with someone who's in love with my good friend Michelle. I can't take that. There's no way in a million years I could even be better than Michelle. I just don't think it would work out between us. I would love to go out with Gary, but I don't know why. All he's out for is sex, but I think deep down inside, he's a sensitive, sweet, caring, loving guy who needs to find the right girl to settle down with. Or maybe this is just the image I wish I could make him be. Right now, I have no idea. I just know that I want a boyfriend, and if it's someone like Gary, I'd take him. I just want one. So weird. August 17th. Today I smoked dope. They got from Goody. I don't know who Goody was, but it was actually oil. We went down to Midway, and Michelle, Nick, and Jamie P went camping out there. Michelle asked Gary out for me, but he said yes, but I had to ask him myself. Well, Michelle told me later on that there was 2 catches. Number 1 was I go out with Gary and Michelle goes out with Clinton, the new colored guy from the complex. Or 2, I go out with Gary, and however long Gary went out with me, he goes out with Michelle for the same length after he's done with me. Michelle said she'd do number 2, but she'd dump him in a day or 2 if I wanted to go out with him. Yeah, it was just so weird because I remember making that deal with her too. It's such a weird deal. I'm nervous to ask Gary out. And they were smoking weed all night long. I never want to do that stuff. It's dangerous. There's this boy named Clinton, and he's colored, and he had his arm all over me today. Then Gary wouldn't leave my side alone. Clinton is something happened with Gary and Clinton when it came to me. And Clinton liked me. And he wanted to go out with me. And he started flirting with me. And it made Gary really, really jealous. And he kept saying, like, do you want to go out with me or do you want to go out with him? And it just felt like it was like it didn't feel good. And it sounds like Gary kept calling my house. Gary asked me out today. I have no idea if he was joking or not. Clinton, who I thought was so great, likes Missy. I had to find out if she go out with him. I told her to tell him she'd go out with him. So I asked, she said she would. And I told her to tell him herself. Then I said that I had to leave to eat. We made plans to go to West Oaks. I don't even. With Clinton and his cousin who moved here. I'm a one-person girl and I won't kiss anyone unless I am going out with them. My first kiss has to be special. Gary said he would have told me, but I wouldn't leave him alone. I am now going out with Gary, and I wasn't going to throw myself at Gary anymore. He was going to have to come to me if he wanted more than friendship. Then we went to see if Clinton was out. He's going out with Missy. Then Clinton wasn't there, and Gary shows up and jumps on my back, and I told him to get off. And he was going out with that Sarah chick. Then he told me he wasn't. He asked me to go out with him, and I didn't answer. if he was serious. I said yes. Then he said he was serious. And I said yes. Gary put his arm around my shoulder and we went to talk to Clinton. Gary picked me up and swung me around on his back. Steve told us to kiss, but we didn't. Then I had to go to Missy's house with her and Gary and took it off. So I said okay. And I went to her house. Then I called Michelle and she was so happy. And then Dawn found out. And then she said it to everyone. And then I had to be in the backyard and I wanted Michelle and Missy to go to Gary and bring him here. They left Dawn and wrote in my yearbook. And then they came back. Michelle said that Gary was playing me. He likes me, but he doesn't want to go out with me. He's going out with me because everybody wants him to. He doesn't want to in the end, and he wants to end it with me. And I told Michelle I don't want him to be in a relationship that he's not happy in, and not only have me, but him also. I have to definitely talk to him tomorrow. I care about him. I'll still always remember him as a person I ever went out with. And then today I went to see people, and when I came home I found Michelle on the tarmac, and Gary went to the mall and he came back with roses for Michelle, pink, yellow, and red. Michelle asked Gary if she could give me one because he was such an ass. He said okay, not the red one. So she gave me the pink one. I can actually remember that. And she gave me Pepsi and beer, and I can remember Pepsi and beer. The Pepsi and beer was really good, but the 7-Up and beer was gross. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Clinton had a little boy. I forgot he had a little boy. Gary is so sweet to Michelle. They make a good couple. He's truly happy with Michelle. Today was a very interesting day. I went to Michelle's house and later Gary, Brendan, and Chris came down and I had a rum and coke. I told Gary that Michelle was playing him. He didn't show that he was mad. Later he said what an asshole and a jerk he'd been and he was sorry that he played me. Later I took someone to the park. Gary said later that he wished he didn't play me because he knows I'm not a person that would play or fool around on him. Michelle dumped him because he was going. Yeah, today Gary and I went and woke up Michelle and I stayed there watching as the world turns. Clinton said that he was cheating. I stayed outside with Clinton. People say we were kissing, but we didn't. Clinton said that he was cheating on Missy with me. That means I'm betraying my best friend. He put his arm around my shoulder and Clinton said he would have asked me out, but he didn't know where I stood with Gary. Today I found out that people in here think I'm a slut and they are mistaking me with Missy and Clinton and think, yeah, because Clinton and Missy were making out all over the place and people thought it was me. And I just said that Michelle is playing Gary and I thought she was being a bitch. So that was the first time I've ever called her that. But, and then I said that Michelle, oh no, Gary said that he wanted to tell Michelle that she was beautiful but a bitch and Michelle dumped him because he said this and asked if I agreed with him. And I said, yes, I did. And now Michelle was mad at me for 2 days. She's not talking to me anymore. I just don't say anything about Gary. He asked me out. I said, no, you're going out with Michelle. Gary said he didn't want anything from me. And I said, 2 wrongs don't make a right. I am going out with Gary Erin. Finally, I got him all to myself. I told him, don't play me again, and he said he wouldn't. Michelle is still mad at me. This was on August 24th. I literally broke up with him like 3 days later, but Gary broke up with me August the 20th. When was that? It must not have been the 24th. We were off and on for like a couple weeks, I think. I have to say, Diary, I knew it was going to happen since Gary didn't want to go out with me in the first place. I had a good time today with Missy before she left. Michelle and I went to Subway and found Gary and me because of and I confronted him and said, I heard that you were only going out with me to make everybody else happy. And then he said that was when he saw me with Clinton. He wanted to kick his ass. I went to Midway. I loved Midway. I was always there. Gary takes care of me like a little sister, except that we kiss. I haven't really kissed him yet, French kiss. He's not pushing for anything. Michelle says it's either a little or too much. I think his family is glad that he's finally settled down with someone who cares about him. I think it's too good to be true, and I have to wonder that I told Gary. It's just so funny. Michelle and I finally made up, and we're now talking. Gary said that she was a slut and everything else, but that wasn't true. So bad. So bad. I was gonna go meet them at Medway, and I had left a note for my mom. And as I was leaving a note for my mom, I was actually writing a note for my brother, but I didn't realize my mom had come back because my mom was out, and my mom found out, and she got so mad at me, and I got grounded. And then I was all worried because I knew that Gary wouldn't know what had happened to me and why I didn't show up. And then it's funny because my mom, I was grounded for a week for lying yesterday in the note. I didn't think she'd believe me if I told her the truth. I hope she lets me off early because Gary or no one has any idea what's going on. I can't talk to them on the phone. I'm grounded inside the house and no one is allowed in 1 whole week without talking to Gary. How horrible. We've only been going out with Gary for 2 days and 3 nights. Yesterday, Gary said he didn't mind that I hung around him all the time. I think Gary's beginning to change slowly. I'm still grounded. It's day 3. Gary came and called on me today. My mom is so funny. My mom told him why I was grounded and also not to worry. He was in my heart and I never stopped talking about him. I wanted to crawl into a hole and die. My mom went out and I called Gary at home. I remember my mom saying that. It was so bad. Someone told him I was grounded, so he had to come find for himself, apparently. I wish I knew how I felt about Gary. I wish I knew how he felt. I want to meet someone new. If Brian was here, there'd really be competition. I have no idea if I'm in love with Gary or not. My heart beats faster when I see him. I always want to be held in his arms, and I enjoy his company. I sometimes get butterflies when I see him, and I don't think I want to settle down with Gary because I don't believe it's going to last much longer. I mean, I think somewhere deep inside, I think it's all a big joke, and any day he'll tell me this. And so I don't even know how long I was going out with him at this time. It wasn't long. Yeah, it was crazy. I went to my aunt's. What is this? I saw Gary. I really didn't say much today. We didn't really say much today to one another. Told Clinton we were going out. He'll probably know everything by tomorrow. And I was waiting for money from my dad. Today was Sunday and I got off my grounding. Clinton had his arm around my shoulder and Gary gave me the dirtiest look. Then later Gary put his foot on Clinton's head when Steve had held Clinton on the ground and told him not to touch his woman. Made me feel great. Not that Clinton got in trouble, but that Gary called me his woman. That was exactly what I wanted. Competition. And yeah, it was so weird. Yeah, I did feel really bad because, like, Gary didn't want me, but he didn't want anybody else to have me. It was so stupid. I wanted it to happen so that Gary would pay more attention to me and hold me and cuddle me. And then something came out that I wouldn't even French kiss him. But I did ask Gary to French kiss me, and that's when he broke up with me. Because he knew that that was too important for me. Somebody overdosed on pills. I smoked some dope a little bit to try. It tastes like herbs. Tomorrow I'm going to get buzzed and maybe even baked. That way have the whole day to get it out of my system. Tomorrow Michelle comes home from her grandma's. And that's the end of that one. I was so conflicted, and then there's other pages that I didn't read where I'm just like, I don't know what to do, and I know that Gary really likes Michelle, and like this boy, I loved him, and he would come to my house and he would be like, what should I buy her? Like, I really want to get her a present. And I'd literally have to go out with him and get a present for her. Like, it was so sad what I put myself through. And she literally was just playing him, like, the whole time. Because she knew she could. Yeah, it's such a crazy time and a crazy life for me. And I was really upset and really conflicted at the time as well, because I knew that I shouldn't be tampering with drugs, and I knew that I shouldn't be tampering with alcohol, but you know, all my friends were, and I was going to church and I felt like I was wearing a million different masks, and I was so conflicted over the whole Gary thing, but then I was so conflicted over like going to church and stuff as well. And I didn't write any of that in here. Maybe I do in the next one. The next one is maybe when I become a Christian. I don't know, and meet my friends. I don't know exactly when it's going to come, but I know it's going to come eventually. But yeah, it's just weird. Like, this was the first fight I had with Michelle, and she's been in my journal. You know, she was in my other journals. I was friends with her since I've been 12. So, yeah, she just came into this one more. Obviously, I wasn't friends with those other people. But yeah, you know, this was a lot of heartache, because it was when everything came out with Sue, and that was my first really, like, heartbreak friendship. Like, someone who had, like, screwed me over and deceived me, something chronic. And like I said, the first diary that starts having me, well, I mean, even that first diary I wrote about grandchildren and children, like, so embedded in me. It's just so, like, just just so crazy. And yeah, it's nice just to be like, oh, this stuff doesn't serve me a purpose anymore. Like, it's good to go down memory lane, and I'm glad I've got this, and I can go and talk to Michelle and stuff, but like, I don't do it. I don't need it. It doesn't serve me a purpose. It's just paper, and it's a fire hazard, so I might as well get rid of it. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the life that was me. At 15, I had this journal for, does it tell me in here? I was 15 and a half. I had it from April to September. So it was just the start of grade 10. The summer of grade 9 and the start of grade 10. So, yeah. Coming up to more excitement. That is for sure. That you have not heard the last of Peter. And you haven't even begun to hear about Jason. So, there is so much more to come.